Welcome back to a decently sunny day in Thailand, but it's dark now, which is good because what I want to do is give you the 1 year overview and analysis of my home built solar power system. This is the system I've got now, modules on my two balconies. This picture is actually out of date. I started off with the AliExpress Chinese microinverters, which two of them have failed. So I've completely swapped them out and I've moved to the Enphase IQ7 Plus microinverters. So I need to update that page, sorry. This is the web page that's been showing all of my data through the year. And you can see today's graphs. We're sitting at 0 now because it's dark, and I made just under 1,500 watt hours, which is pretty good. But I'm going to take you, and this is today's view. You can see there's some broken clouds through the day, some more clouds late in the afternoon kind of killed the solar. But I'm going to take you to the lifetime graph, which is where we can see a lot of insight into what's going on, because I want to give you the overview first. The big number that everybody's looking at is how much did I make through the entire year, from December 13th to December 13th. I made 192.88 kilowatt hours. Now, let's put that in perspective. That's 192,000 watt hours. So that sounds like a big number, but it's pretty small compared to the energy consumption of most people in their apartments or their houses or their businesses. Now, for me, living by myself in a little condo with two modules, this is a micro system, but what does that mean for my lifestyle? Well, the most important electrical device I have outside of, the condo itself is my electric motorbike. And it has a 1 kilowatt hour battery pack. So that means I could, in the course of this year, charge my electric motorbike 192 times, which is basically once every other day. And I am nowhere near that. So that's good. I could use my air conditioning for 146 hours a year. I could also get 64.29 hours of hot water, given the electric hot water heating system that I have installed. Now, let's talk money. We're not dealing with a lot of money here in terms of the amount of energy that I've saved. I've given this number at 4 Thai baht per kilowatt hour, or per unit as they call it here. I essentially saved, paying the electric company, 771.5 baht. Now, for me, that's a very nice dinner out at a restaurant. Boom, gone. Because it's the equivalent of US dollars, $25.72. So there it is. I spent all this money up front on two solar modules, two Chinese microinverters, two of which have failed, and then three Enphase microinverters. I am so far down the hole on this project. Cost effectiveness is essentially approaching zero. But I did it, sure, to generate a little bit of electricity for my own needs and offset when I'm paying the electric company. But it's also a good science experiment. It let me play with all of these technologies you see up here. The Sonoff power switch, which I reflashed the firmware to the Tasmota system. I'm putting data out through MQTT to my server in Singapore. I'm using Node-RED to manage the events and how I reformat the data and write into a MySQL database. This website here is all driven by PHP scripts and JavaScript and uses the Google Charts graphing objects. So I'm using the Google Gauges, the Google Graphs, here the Google Vertical Bar Charts, and a big one here, the Google Vertical Bar Chart. I've found two bugs with this Google chart, by the way. One is, after a certain number of data samples, it just stops displaying them. Silently ignores all the data that comes after an indeterminate, undocumented amount of time. So that's bad. The second thing is, even though all of these are time-stamped, every one of these is time-stamped with the year, I've noticed that I've come around to December 13th again. It put today's generation back on the very first entry. So that's a bug. I think what I'm going to do is have multiple year graphs through here. So let's take a look at some of the trends that gets me to my 1 year of solar power making. So I started off here on December 13th, ignore the big bar, it was quite small. And at this point I was experimenting with the angle of the module on the balcony. First it was flat, then I angled it a little bit more, and then I hung it over the edge of the balcony, and that's when my power jumped way up here. But you can see after that there's a general downtrend on this curve. Imagine a curve of all these points. That's because the sun is starting to rise in the sky as it progresses across the sky through the day. As the module gets higher, or as the sun gets higher, it is hitting the module at a sharper angle, and the module is unable to make power as efficiently. Also, at a certain point, the module is completely blocked from direct sun. So right through here from early April until September, I'm not getting any direct sun on the module whatsoever because the sun is going over the top of the roof of the condo. So I'm only making half a kilowatt hour of energy from April till September. Now you'll see a big jump here. That's because I added the second system right here. So we essentially doubled our power. But you can see the curve would have come like this, flattened out, and then right about the beginning of October I start to climb again very dramatically, because this is one of the first days that the sun is actually shining directly on the module rather than getting just ambient light. And except for some glitches, we go up at a very, very sharp angle through the year up until present day, and then we should start to see it start curving back down again. I want to hold out for as much power as I can make here, but I'm at the mercy of the orbit of the sun, the orbit of the Earth around the sun, and the tilt of the Earth's axis through the seasons. Now for the highs and lows, let's take a look at the worst and the best day. The worst day was October 9th. I made just over 100 watt hours, and you can see how pathetic the generation was through the day. This was a day of complete overcast, thunderstorms, everything. Mid to late year is our monsoon season, and this is what you get when it's just miserable and rains all day. Now my best power day of the year so far is December 10th. And we can pop back here, and you can see beautiful curves, not a cloud in the sky. I'm making power. The 115 system makes a little more in the afternoon because of its angle. The 116 system is a little shaded in the morning, pops up, and then is less efficient in the afternoon because of the angle. But I made 2,105 watt hours that day. Just a magnificent power generation day. Now let's take a look at my overall power use and how much I've been paying. Now, of course I keep track of this because of course I do. Now, here's the graph of those two things. These squiggles down here, these lines, this is the number of kilowatt hours I purchased every month. This big block up here is the amount I paid for those kilowatt hours. Now, down here were my first years, and my power consumption was low. But over the years, I've been buying a little bit more and a little bit more because I got more computers, I got a bigger TV, it was maybe running the aircon longer. But the big jump right here, this orange graph, is this year. This huge bump right here is because I bought the condo next door. I had 2 aircon units running. I had an inductive cooktop and a dishwasher. So my power for 2020 really spiked. And also at this time of year, I'm not making much solar to offset it. But when the solar really kicked in, I was actually buying less power, a lot less right here, and then my power consumption kind of smoothed out. So I'm really offsetting this orange line. If we look at the amount of money I'm spending, this is 2020, this blue one. This matches this big power spike right here. But because of COVID, the Thai government gave us like a 90% discount on our power bills for 3 months. So that's represented by these artificially low numbers right here, whereas it should have come in and kind of followed the curve right here. I'm not offsetting much much power right here with my solar, but when April, May starts coming in, I start offsetting a little more, and then really offsetting by the end of the year, and my power bills have dropped dramatically. The first event in the system was, of course, installing it and powering it up. I first installed the 116 unit, which is this one right here, because that's the condo I owned at the time. I installed the Chinese microinverter and had it route through a disconnect switch and a Wi-Fi power meter. And if we look at the power for that day, I can come down here and select December 13th, 2019. It was not a great day, but I was making power. Now, let's pop over to December 26th of 2019. And here we are, and you can see right here at around 4:07 p.m., the microinverter failed. It had been running for 13 days. 13 days to failure of my first Chinese microinverter. And I had to wait until February 14th. So that is a little over 2.5 months to be able to get back up and running again. So I'll show you how that starts. And here we are, February 14th. I installed it the night before and I powered up, and I'm starting to get good energy out of the system again. I wasted 2.5 months. But the company was responsive on AliExpress, but what they had to do was order it from their provider, because of course they didn't have any stock. Then it was shipped to them, then they turned around and shipped it to me. 2.5 months. Not a happy camper. The next event was I actually had, the system was down for 8 days because of the construction ongoing in my condo, as I bought the 115 unit, knocked out the wall in between, and was preparing myself for a future solar power system in 115. Then the next very happy event was on March 21st, when I installed and got the 115 system up and running. And you can see with 116's data, I lose a lot in the afternoon due to shading and the angle of the sun hitting the module, but because I angled the 115 module out towards the afternoon sun, I'm picking up a lot more power. And you can see the dramatic difference here, 482 versus 316. So I am cooking with solar on both balconies. And we cruised along nicely for about 6 months until September 15th, when the microinverter on 116 died. We had a power hit. Both the inverters went down. 115 woke back up again. 116 dead as a doornail. At this point, I said I'm done with the Chinese microinverters, and I was on a quest to find some very high quality Enphase. Luckily, I found an excellent Enphase distributor in Thailand, and I made a video about that whole process. I installed it on the night of September 31st, and I'm up and running again on October 1st. And I continue to this day. So, I guess that about wraps it up. Overall, I've spent quite a lot of money on this system. The lesson I learned was don't buy cheap Chinese microinverters because they will continuously fail and then you will get horrible customer service. Buy quality the first time and never cry. So that's my big lesson. But as far as my science experiment goes, I'm super happy with the way everything has turned out. I'm offsetting my electric bill, I'm making clean energy, and it's just been a fun science experiment for me. So, thanks for sticking with me for so long. Catch you on the next one. Hey, if you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like my other content, I'd appreciate a subscribe. Take care and see you next time.